What's up, Central Illinois? Derek Hayden here. Garrett and I love sharing all the awesome stories about our Central Illinois business leaders. We want to make sure our Central Illinois businesses are protected so we can continue to share all these great stories. That's why you should consider another great Central Illinois company, Pekin Insurance, for your business insurance needs. That's right, you can get all the commercial insurance coverages that your company needs from an excellent insurance company headquartered right here in Pekin, Illinois. Pekin Insurance offers comprehensive business coverage that lets you focus on what's important to you: employees, profits, and peace of mind. Ask your local Pekin Insurance agent about their commercial insurance products or learn more at pekininsurance.com. You can also contact your favorite podcast hosts, Garrett or myself, Derek, and we'll go beyond the expected for you.
Welcome to the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, where business owners, thought leaders, and community champions from across Central Illinois come to share their story. The Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Anything less would be uncivilized.
What's up, Central Illinois? I'm Derek Hayden. I'm here with Garrett Ulmer. We are your hosts for the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, powered by Zambu. Zambu is a delicious grapefruit, oral wildberry, vodka-based spirit infused with a Brazilian buzz button. It's smooth, tasty, and leaves you with a signature tingle. Learn more at ZambuLiquors.com. Zambu, taste the tingle. All right, Central Illinois, today's guests. That's right, there's two of them. They are commercial loan officers at Town & Country Bank in Springfield, Illinois, and they are the first ever second-time guests on the CIBL podcast. Ladies and gents of Central Illinois, please welcome John DeFreitas and Nick Gentile. How are you guys doing again today?
Awesome.
Doing great. Happy to be here, guys.
I can tell you guys are so pumped up to be here today. So
yeah, I'm assuming they tuned in just to see Derek's shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. I try
Absolutely.
not to disappoint in the shirt game. So yeah, catches the eye. Well, guys, you are old pros at the CIBL podcast. You guys were on the revamp of the Biz Tips episodes where we talked about starting a podcast. And listeners, if you didn't catch those, make sure you tune into those. Those are released every Monday, and they're just short, quick samples of high-level tips and concepts to help you grow your business. You can take the tips you learn and apply them to your business pretty easily. So we talked about starting a podcast. John and Nick are in the process of starting their own podcast. And actually, by the time this show is released, they may have released their first show. And I heard their first guests that they got lined up are complete badasses. So
Very handsome guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the Centers of Influence podcast, correct?
Right.
Yep.
Awesome.
Good deal. We're
So,
excited.
Yes. If you all listening, if you're watching this, it's probably late October when this show is released. There may have been a COI podcast episode released by that point. So check them out. Make sure you give them a review on whatever station you listen to podcasts on as well, and keep watching them. So
That's
all right.
perfect. You just gave us a deadline. That's great. You just gave
There
us
you
a
go.
deadline to get the first one
Yeah,
done.
can't
by.
blow it now.
Nailed it.
Can't blow it
Yeah,
now. No
no,
pressure.
That works. Thank you for that.
Anytime. All right. I'm done talking. I'm sorry I got long-winded. Garrett, go ahead and take them through the speed round.
Yeah, like we talked before the show, John, we're going to hit you with the 6 questions first. From what Nick has told us, it sounds like you've been studying up, so you've got some good answers for us here today. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. First concert you ever attended?
I had this is a little embarrassing, Charlie Daniels band at the Prairie Capital Convention Center.
It's called
I
the
love
speed round, John.
Sorry.
Hey, great choice, though. I don't think that's embarrassing. Not at all. Your favorite
It's
movie?
been way more embarrassing.
Favorite movie? The Goonies.
All right. Hey,
That's
you
more embarrassing than Charlie
guys.
Daniels.
I'm
just kidding.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, I got to go with the Blizzard with Snickers bar in there.
All right. Sounds good. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Favorite social media platform?
LinkedIn.
And why Central Illinois?
Born and raised here. I think there are a lot of opportunities, even though people like to hate but I think that Central Illinois is a great place to raise a family and live.
Yep. Couldn't agree with you more. All right. Good answers. Good answers. Now, Nick was beating up on you a little bit. So now it's our turn to beat up on him. So Nick, are you ready?
Perfect. Yes, sir.
All right. First concert you ever attended?
Poison.
Whoa.
Me and my dad the day before high school started. It was great.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I may have you on the Charlie Daniels band there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, dang.
Yeah.
Favorite movie?
Probably the Major League series. I love those movies.
All right. Fan favorites at our house as well. Favorite ice
Yeah.
cream flavor?
Butter pecan, I think. Yeah.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone for sure.
Favorite social media platform?
LinkedIn as well.
And like we asked John, why Central Illinois?
Well, like John, I didn't have much of a choice to start. My parents decided to raise us here. But I agree 100%. The opportunities are definitely here. It's a market unlike any other one that I've been a part of. I've been in some larger cities, and it's a very supportive place to be a business owner and to work with businesses. If you meet the right people, there's a lot of support out there for you to succeed here. So
agreed. I
enjoyed it a lot.
think if you can put a positive spin on it, there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of great people here in our area for sure.
For sure.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. Well, Nick, the butter pecan answer is about the most dad answer we've had. And so for all the
Absolutely.
listeners, Nick is a new dad. How old is you got a girl, right?
Yeah. Yep. She's a month old as of 2 days ago. So yeah. And I had a completely different answer before she was born, but after she was born, butter pecan all the way.
Yeah. So I guess the real dad question is did you go with the New Balances or the Nike Air Monarchs?
Well, I kind of went off the beaten path there. I got some of those $15 Walmart versions of those.
Yeah.
So I mow my grass in those exclusively.
Yeah. If you're not mowing your grass with
good.
those and some high knee white socks, then you are not the man you thought you were. So
yeah. If you walk with them on concrete, they're gonna hurt your knees. But if you mow the grass, they're perfect. Perfect.
I like it.
All right.
Nice. All right, John. Well, we'll start with you first. Give us a quick background. You told us you're from the area, but quick background of where you came from and how you got into banking with Town and Country.
Yeah. So born and raised in Springfield. I like to say that I was raised in banking because I started as a teller when I was 18 years old. It was not my first job, but it was kind of my first real job with a company. And it was pretty interesting because I saw that people that were at the bank had moved up through the bank. They had started as tellers and become managers in different positions, different roles within the bank. And I thought that was amazing that I could stay within an organization and grow and do different things. So banking, it just kind of appealed to me in that manner. And so I worked at a very small community bank that's been bought out and the name's not around anymore for about 5 years. Finished as an assistant branch manager, moved to a big bank, which also got bought out. I was at National City for several years and was a licensed banker there. From there, I did a little bit of door-to-door sales for a while for Comcast, got out there and knocked on some doors and polished up my sales skills. And did that for a little bit in 2008 when the market crashed and banking wasn't fun anymore and the bank was getting bought out. And, so tried something else. But then I got back into banking, went to Busey Bank for about 9 months, which was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of driving. I was working out of Mount Zion. And then came to Town and Country after that. So I've been with Town and Country for 10 years, started as a branch manager. Then I did treasury management for a while. And then I've been a commercial lender for 2 years.
Awesome.
Very good. Nick, let's hear your story.
So mine's is pretty similar. My first real job, if you want to call it that, I worked in retail sales and then retail management for a little while, and did that and kind of had a decent career path in front of me at the place I was working. And after a while, I started to get burnt out on it and decided I wanted to go back to school and get finish up my degree. I was probably 20 at the time, and I had bills to pay, so I had to work as well while I was going to school, and I needed to find a place that would let me do some homework and work at the same time. So came to Town and Country actually back then and had an interview. Basically told them exactly what I needed. I said that I need a place where I can do homework and also, work for you guys and get paid to pay my bills. And they were very understanding and were kind enough to hire me back then, and worked as a teller in the drive-through, and then a teller inside, and then a personal banker. And then actually John hired me. John was my boss for the last year that I was at Town and Country the first time around. He was
a great
my
boss.
Yeah, well, yeah, an excellent delegator. I will say that. He's an excellent delegator.
That's a skill.
So no, but really he was a mentor for sure for me. It allowed me to kind of chase my curiosity a little bit in the bank. I'm assuming he noticed that I was curious and just kind of kept giving me things to take up my free time and to keep leading me towards what ended up being my career. But I ended up leaving, not because John wasn't a good boss or because the bank wasn't doing right by me, but I was continuing my education and also had an opportunity to move to Champaign and kind of take, I guess, a step forward in my career and be an assistant manager with Busey Bank as well, actually. So I was with Busey for about 3 years in Champaign, and in that process moved up through the retail ranks there. Ran 3 different branches while I was there. Kind of got into the small business lending, where Busey has a nice model where you can get one foot into commercial lending as a branch manager. So that was really nice. That again was just allowing me to chase that curiosity in banking. And then they moved me out to Indianapolis to help develop that market out there. And that was a huge challenge for me. Moving from Springfield to Champaign was kind of slightly ripping that Band-Aid off. I'm very close to my family and very close to my friends here in town. So Champaign wasn't too bad, and deciding to move to Indianapolis was a big deal for me. But they assured me that it was the right move for my career, and it absolutely was. It allowed me to get even more into the commercial side of the bank. And just, I can't say enough good things about my time there. They were a great organization. They challenged me a lot, had a great time there. And then my wife and I decided we were going to move back. We got married, decided we were going to move back because we had plans to raise a family, and we're hoping that we could raise it near the rest of our family and friends and have that support system. So, just kind of started reaching back out to the banks here in town. I didn't expect Town and Country to just, welcome me back with open arms. I was hoping that would be the case, but talked to some banks around town. Was very, very fortunate that Town and Country gave me the opportunity to come back to the place where I already knew a lot of people. I knew a lot of the systems that were in place, knew the culture, loved the culture. And, it just, for the nostalgia factor for me, selfishly, it was cool to be back where my career started. So it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So very thankful to Town and Country. I owe a lot to this organization, and really excited to be back home in Springfield.
Yeah. I guess the real question is, John, how did you allow him to come back?
Yeah, I definitely
He didn't have a
told him,
say.
do not do it.
You flagged the file. Well, I'm going to jump back, John, to you too. You mentioned you jumped out of banking for a little while and tried out some sales with Comcast. Tell us about how you used that experience to maybe improve your sales and, communication in the banking side of things.
Well, I think the most important thing I learned from Comcast was how to get told no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brutal. Door-to-door sales is brutal. And any young person who wants to be a salesperson, or, people don't consider banking sales necessarily at first thought, but it definitely is. Anytime you're dealing with people and have a product to offer. But just knocking on those doors and getting told no, no, no. Our boss used to tell us all the time that we needed to figure out how many no's it would take to get the yes. And so it was like, do we need 20 no's today? Do we need 50 no's? And then go out and get your 50 no's so that you can get that yes. And so that was difficult, but it was very rewarding. Those types of commission sales jobs can be very rewarding, especially if you finally start making some sales. And so it was paramount to me being able to reach out to people, start conversations, and not worried about being rejected.
So the biggest takeaway is let the no roll off your back, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I've always said, and same way with Derek, anybody that can sell anything door to door, you learn a lot about who you are really quick out the gate, because it is it's a tough gig for sure.
Yeah, you learn to develop some thick skin. It's funny because I've told this story a few times. When I was interviewing in my current position 10 years ago, I'm getting close to my 10-year anniversary, and they asked me in the interview, what's one thing that you don't want to do? And I literally said, I want to avoid door-to-door sales. Well, sure enough, I signed up. They got me some business cards, and they're like, all right, start walking down the street and going into businesses door to door. And I was like, but I said, that's not what I want to do. It wasn't terrible. I mean, luckily, especially locally, I had some people I knew that didn't kick me out right off the bat. So I was able to at least have conversations, and then you start to expand beyond your local town, county. You get into going into businesses that you don't know. And that's where it started to get a little hairy, because people are like, what are you doing here? Did you see the no solicitation sign? That's just a recommendation, by the way. You don't have to, all you salespeople out there, don't let that. I thought, you say, I thought that was French.
Yeah.
Like that. What was the one we heard, Garrett? The no solicitation. Someone made a branded no solicitation sign with like their colors.
Correct.
The sign was broken, so I got you a new one.
Yeah.
So
they said that there's a great tip. The individual said what they would do is if they'd had a hard time getting in the door, they would make one of those up in their drop-off packet. And if somebody would say something to them like, hey, actually yours looked broken and kind of old, I actually made this one for you now that's in your colors. How do you say no to that? So it's all about being unique. And for me, it's scary, but at the end of the day, it's kind of one of the more fun parts of the job. You get to meet, new people. Sometimes it can be really tough, but if you let the tough ones go and just smile before you walk in, it normally goes pretty well most of the time.
Yeah. So Nick, you said at Busey, they kind of gave you an opportunity to dabble in the commercial lending side of things before, you got to jump in full-time on commercial. So why did you want to get into the commercial side? What sparked your interest in the commercial side?
There were a few different reasons. One, I had some solid mentors there at Busey as well, who were in the commercial space. So just naturally, I ended up trying to learn as much as I could about it. I knew that they were good people. They really enjoyed their job. So, it was hard not to at least be a little bit interested in taking that path. But really it was a lot. The organization did just a great job of just pushing that along, having me shadow different lenders and allowing me to have my own book of business pretty early on. And that was a big part of it. Also just personally, I grew up in a household where both my parents were pretty entrepreneurial. My mom and dad both had, side hustles all the time. We had almost like an eBay warehouse in our basement as kids.
nice.
Like it was just one of those things where that I was always curious about how things worked, watching them operate the couple of different hustles that they had. So just personally learning about a business that, I a business owner's business that I meet out in the community, in the same way that I was trying to learn, the different businesses that my parents were operating as a kid. I don't know. It comes natural to me, I guess. I just really like to learn, and yeah, I don't know. I came to a point also at Busey where they were trying to, you know, have me turn over some more rocks and maybe look at some other opportunities and kind of kick the tires on maybe taking a wealth management path in my career. But it didn't have the same effect for me. It didn't have the same, the relationships that I was trying to build with the individuals just weren't the same as the ones that I was building with business owners, because there's a lot more people involved. There's a lot more moving parts. It seemed a lot more challenging. You spend a lot more time trying to learn the business itself as opposed to learning the market, so that really intrigued me as well.
Cool.
Nice.
John, what about you? I know you've went through some different parts. What attracted you to the commercial side of lending?
Yeah. So career-wise, similar to Nick, mentorship, people you look up to within the bank. A lot of the executives come from a commercial role. And then also, if you look at a cost center of a bank that's very similar structured to ours, the majority of the income comes from commercial banking. And so, there's a million sayings out there, but basically, who's paying the bills, who's buttering the toast, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, it makes a big difference there. So you always, if you want a secure job, right, you want to be in a role that's making money for the company. But on the personal fulfillment side of things, like Nick said, I think a lot of commercial lenders really would like to have their own business, but we're very risk adverse at heart. And so it's I'll just, use the bank's money and help other businesses to grow. But when you get in there and see, especially when you go to a business that makes something, they take a raw material and turn it into something that is used in another part or something else that benefits the community or, whatever that is. It's really cool to get inside that business, hear how they started, hear their struggles, and then try and find ways to help that business expand. It's pretty fulfilling. It probably sounds corny, but it's a lot of fun to get in there and kind of be a part of that business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I don't blame you. That's why Garrett and I prefer working on the commercial side as well with employers, whether it's employee benefits or the commercial insurance. You can actually take an active role in not just insuring the business, but setting up programs to help, minimize risk, control cost, do different things. And you can actually be a large part of that business's success. So that hits home with me anyway.
Yeah.
John and I definitely look at each other or look at our jobs and ourselves as almost venture capitalists in a way. We talked about this yesterday where that's the hot thing right now, right? If you want to start a business, you want to get an injection of cash, go find some capital out there. And the biggest difference between what we do and what those folks do is we're not taking any actual shares of your business. We're not taking any ownership of your business. You still own that 100%. What we're doing is, like John said, we're just allowing you to use the bank's money to be able to grow it. And keep 100% of your ownership as well, which is really, really cool. To look at this job as almost a venture capitalist type job. It's really fun.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good way to look at it. I never considered that. Yeah. You're getting a business partner that's allowing you to use their funds. You get to keep 100% of the profit, and obviously minus interest rates and that type of stuff. But
right. Yes.
Compared to, giving up 50% of your shares for a business partner, that sounds pretty good. So
right.
Since we mentioned interest rates, John, before we do that, you had something else to say.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know you guys are the same as us. our customers call us all the time, the insurance guys and their bankers, and get advice on different things. And we obviously don't give legal advice or anything, but they know that we deal with businesses a lot, so they ask us questions. But unlike an accountant or a lawyer that charges by the hour, a lot of times, we strive to spend time with our customers and get to know them and their business, and love to give advice or help them with certain problems that they have. But I don't think people take advantage of their insurance or their bankers quite enough. And that's a pretty awesome resource to be able to have those people at your fingertips.
Yeah,
I agree.
definitely. Well, I know Derek and I a lot. We try to focus on just like what you guys said. We want to be solution providers.
Right.
There's more than just an insurance policy and a price to the policy. But if you can find yourself a risk advisor to help, like you said, give advice to help minimize risk, put solutions in, to help the overall business, that's when it becomes fulfilling. To just sell something, a policy, that's, for me, it's not that much fun. Like you guys said, I like to get to know the business, get my claws in there, get an idea of what's going on and how we can help them beyond just the policy. So that's when the job comes fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as a, if a business owner is listening to this, or anybody that's listening to this, it is a changing market, especially in the interest rate side of things. Of course, we're recording this on September 20th. And I'm sure when this comes out, there will have been some changes since today. I'm sure this will come out in about a month. So what can business owners expect if they come to meet with you guys when it comes to interest rates and loan terms? I got a bug in my office.
I saw something.
When it comes to interest rates and loan terms, what can business owners expect if they were to come to talk to you about maybe, obtaining a loan through you guys?
Yeah, so that's a very loaded question. The cool part about commercial banking is that we get to be a lot more customized than consumer lending. Like if you go to buy a car, you can go to a website and find the interest rate, or like a mortgage. Most of the mortgage companies around town, the rates are very similar. With commercial banking, we do work off of rates, right? Because we have what's called a cost of funds. If we're borrowing money from people who are bringing in deposits, we use your money to lend out, but then also, the regulators say we have to keep so much of that cash available. So sometimes we borrow from other areas. So like the Federal Home Loan Bank or different partners that we have that we can borrow money from. So we have a margin that we have to work with, right? And so some people follow like the prime interest rate. That's probably one that people see the most because that's the one the Federal Reserve kind of affects with their interest rates. So you hear that rate is going up and up and up. But if you look at more fluid rates like a treasury rate or things like that, those change daily. And so it really depends on your business. Are you getting a line of credit or are you getting a fixed loan? Is that fixed loan tied to long-term assets like a building, or is it tied to short-term assets like accounts receivable or like a piece of equipment, something that's going to age? And so the interest rates can vary wildly compared to one business to another, one type of loan to another. Generally speaking, though, rates have gone up significantly. We're seeing a lot of stuff in the low sixes. It could be the high fives. I haven't really looked too much at rates today, but we're very careful not to quote hard rates right now. I mean, we had several years where it was like, 3.25, and you didn't have to worry about that moving for, several months. But now we're like, let's quote a margin. Let's say, X amount over the 10-year treasury or something like that, to where the customer can say, okay, I see this margin, this is the index. I know that, it's going to potentially move, but I kind of know where my rate's going. A lot of people don't like that. They want to know what their rate is. And, but the problem is as much risk as that is for you, there's that much risk for the bank also, because these rates are just wild right now. And we've totally given up on trying to say, rates are going to be here tomorrow or 3 months out, because this economy is wild right now.
Yeah. Well, for
So
a
what you're
loaded
saying-
question, that was a pretty good answer.
That was pretty good. It sounds like business owners should be a little nimble on their feet and expect to roll with the changes, because there's a lot of things changing, not just rates in the world today.
Yeah, historically though, we've been babied with these super low rates, and
Right.
something in the sixes, even the low sevens, is really not that crazy historically. You know, some of the older customers that come into the bank, they love to say, I remember I used to be able to get a certificate of deposit for 17%, and my first mortgage was 25% interest. And I don't know that we would like to see those days again. Some people probably would on the CD side of things, but on borrowing money, if your home loan is 20 some percent interest, with the cost of homes today, that would be unbearable for people.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the sixes and where we're at right now is crazy at all. It just is slowing down the home market, really. I think businesses are making a little bit different choices, but if they're growing and they need to borrow money, that's not really going to be an obstacle.
Yeah, I agree. I think rates are really similar to about 20 years ago. So I started in car sales, like we had talked when we first met for lunch a month or so ago. And 20 years ago, the car loan was, 5-6%, and then like you said, they were babied for I don't say babied, but we were so lucky for a very, very long time to where they just kept creeping down, and you see the 2s and the 3s and the 1.9s. And, we were so used to for 10, 12 years of those really low rates. And, it's finally starting to correct itself a little bit there. So I think it'll be a more traditional norm here for a little while. You guys are the experts, so we'll see how that works.
The one thing is we're always watching it very closely.
Yeah.
So I mean and hopefully all commercial bankers are doing that too, because it is a weird time right now. But we take it very seriously. I mean, our goal is the same as the business owners more often than not. We want to make sure that they're not drowning in debt, so we're not going to recommend something that won't make sense for them. That's why we have a credit team that does the analysis to make sure they're going to be able to afford to pay that back, and while we wouldn't approve it if they couldn't. So but yeah, I mean, John's right, it's a daily thing. He said he hasn't checked the rates today, and I'm sure when we get off this call, the first thing he's going to do is check the rates. That's how it goes.
He's probably Googling it right now. I don't know if that's what you use. It's Google. I'm sure you don't use Google either. But.
Well, another thing that's interesting with rates right now, it's probably not interesting to you guys. The 2-year treasury rate is significantly higher than the 10-year rate. So typically with an interest rate environment, what you see is rates go up the longer the term goes. So if you want to borrow money for 10 years or 20 years, you expect to pay a little bit more money, right? Because it's more risk for the bank to loan it for that period of time. Well, right now, it's more expensive to borrow short-term money than long-term money. So even I was talking to a mortgage lender yesterday, the 15-year was higher than the 20-year. So that's, unusual, very unusual. And that's a sign of typically a recession. So, it doesn't feel like a recession right now. I mean, costs are expensive. Groceries are expensive. Lumber is kind of wild, different times of the year. But I think most people have jobs and things, so they don't think about those on a daily basis. But it's definitely an interesting time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So before we jump off of here, the last thing I'd like you guys to talk about is kind of the process. So if a business owner or someone who is considering applying for a business loan, if they don't know where to start, tell us about the process of, how do they reach out to you? What do they need to give to you guys? What information are you looking for to go through the, potentially the approval process and all that stuff? Tell us a little bit about that process.
I think the biggest thing and what makes our job the easiest is when they have a pretty good idea of what it is that they want to do. What are the goals that they want to accomplish, whether it's something as simple as just buying a building, or if they're just needing some extra leverage on the cash side of things and need a line of credit. A lot of times when we meet business owners, they don't know the answer to that question. So that's the easiest, is when they do know the answer. But the biggest thing is if you're trying to grow as a business and you're hoping to use some money from a bank to do that, get in touch with the banks in town, get some meetings with the lenders at those banks, and figure out, who they are, and try to find somebody that you think is going to be a good fit, somebody that's giving you good advice before the process even gets started. If you don't know the answers to those questions, find somebody that seems like a good personality fit. You'd be surprised at how far that goes in our world. But get out and start talking to the banks. I think the business owners that I see that do the best job of navigating the borrowing phase of growing their business are the ones that are doing just that. And get more options than one. I hate to say that, because we'd like to bank everybody, but it is good advice, I think, for business owners. And to be honest, I tell everybody that unless they're dead set on working with us, it's good for them to get a second opinion. And sometimes, we end up getting multiple streams of advice, and we end up getting exactly where they want to go, and it might be something that I didn't see right off the bat. So it's never a bad thing to get as many resources. But from there, we get into the application process, which really just involves, getting a hold of their financials. So that's another big thing. If you're a business owner, please keep solid financials as best as you can. And have reports for, your income statement, keep a balance sheet. All of those things are so important. They make our job so much easier. John and I both have customers within our portfolios that are at different ends of that spectrum. Some that have never put together a balance sheet in their life and never put an income statement together, and then some that have a team of CPAs that work for them that put all of those documents together. So regardless of where you're at, the goal should be to get clean financials as quickly as possible. So, and then on top of that, we take a look at tax returns, obviously, for the business and the business owners. That's part of the process too. And really, that's the analysis is pretty simple. If you want to make it simple, it breaks down to, what is your income? Can you afford to take on this debt and pay it back, and then have some leeway after you pay the debt back to be able to function and have a rainy day fund, all of those things. So one thing I will say, you can call it a plug for Town and Country. We have really, really bright lenders here, a lot of experience, and on top of that, a lot of transparent lenders, which I think is probably the most important thing. If you're a business owner listening to this, I hope that your commercial lender is transparent with you, explains the reasons why they're doing what they're doing, why they're recommending what they're recommending, and how it affects you, as opposed to, this is just credit policy. This is, they should be educating you, especially if your business is in the infancy stage or not far from it. They should be taking ownership of their role in your business and coaching you along. So I think that covers it for the most part, at least the beginning process of borrowing money.
Now, you said
Very
bright
good.
lenders. Did that include John?
No, absolutely not. No, he's actually, you heard him, talking about rates. John's a great resource for me. I'm the newest lender with the least experience in this office, and I'm very lucky because I've got John, who's probably got almost 2 or 3 years on me, and he's still considered, I guess, young and upcoming in the commercial lending space. But other than that, John, how much experience do we have on this team here in Springfield? We've got
a lot. Yeah. All right.
60,
between
70 years.
Joel and Mark and Steve, they've all been in banking 20 plus years. So
right.
Steve,
So either way you spin it, we're lucky. We're lucky to have them. And that's another thing that it's probably good to mention, that the best lenders will lend money as a team. We'll lean on each other. I haven't seen every deal that's out there, but I promise you that somebody in my office has, and I will talk to them. That's the way that it works. And I don't know if all commercial lending teams are like that, but ours certainly operates that way. And it's really great for not only me as the lender, but also for the business owner on the other side of the desk.
Very nice. All right. So, John, where can listeners contact you if they have questions?
So both of us are pretty active on LinkedIn, so you can find us on our LinkedIn pages. Our email addresses are our first initial last name at townandcountrybank.com. But if you go to our website, you can go to meet our team and see our commercial lending team right there. You can click on our picture and get our email address and everything right on our website. I think probably the easiest way, is go to our website, get our email address. Our email addresses are so long, but that may change soon. But so that's kind of difficult.
Perfect. And is there a phone number? Do you each have different phone numbers or a similar?
We
phone
all
number?
have extensions. Mine's 217-321-3803.
And mine's
Nice.
217-321-3632.
Perfect. All right, listeners, make sure you're subscribing to the CIBL podcast on your favorite podcast platform while you're there. Please give us a review. You can also follow us on social media, mainly on LinkedIn and Facebook. You can connect with Garrett and I personally on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. Until next time, John, Nick, you both have officially been civilized. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks
for having
Have
us,
a great
guys.
day.
Thank you. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CIBL podcast. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It's the civilized thing to do.